Yeah, I know, that's why I didn't write.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Councilmen and Councilwomen. Thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. First, I wanted to say that I was not privy to the changes or the amendments that Brian was discussing, and I would like for you to consider tabling this further motion of anything going forward until we, the public, have a chance to also review that. I read the summary of the 28-page deal, bill number 4876, that was supplied by the City of Festus on Friday. I also found steadfast city economic and community partners that also reviewed that and gave their comments. When I look at the so-called stakeholders, Jefferson County, Jefferson College, R6 School District, and alas, it seems to be the least in the profit, is Festus. It appears that this framework, as it was delivered to us on Friday, is a bad deal. The summary of this deal and the economic effects, according to the economic and community partners, is showing that there would be an 85% tax abatement on real property tax revenues and personal property tax revenues. For example, Festus yearly amount would be, for real property, would be $585,000, but the abatement, the amount that would be not collected, would be $3.3 million. And the other stakeholders similar. So an 85% tax abatement seems to be quite excessive. But I also read something else. It says there's something called franchise fees on electric usage, where Festus would be capped at $8 million, and then assumed gross receipt cap $8 million would apply as early as the second data center, assuming there's 4 buildings and there would be no additional benefit. So I have a question. What does the data center revenue have to do with the Port Authority? Are any local cities?
Talking to you, Bob.
Are any local cities involved in funding of the Port Authority? I looked into Crystal City, I could find none. I looked into Herculaneum, I could find none. I looked into Peevely, I could find none. But then we come to Festus, and it looks like a big-time supporter through the data center deal would be directed towards the Port Authority. The biggest concern that I saw was that there was no guarantee for any local union jobs. I also saw no mention of data center paying for any Ameren electric grid build-out costs. So, respectfully, since there's been changes to this agreement that was posted on Friday, I respectfully ask you to table this until we, the public, the residents of Festus, can also review and understand these additional adjustments to this agreement. Thank you.
Hello, Melissa Harris. I don't want to be here today, not only because I hate public speaking, which I do, because I really wish the situation didn't exist at all. I am here because one of you chose to call your opposition a sideshow of uneducated people. As someone questions. And if my points seem redundant from previous meetings, well then maybe we need to hear them again. I already know how this vote's gonna go tonight. I know you're probably not gonna be swayed by anything we have to say, and anyone speaking out against you. However, I'm here to prove that my voice and everyone else's voice matters. I'm here for the crowd, and yes, for the news cameras. I would like our concerns to be heard by everyone in Festus, everyone in Jefferson County, and everyone in this state, because this does affect all of us.
Yes.
Exactly what level of education is required to have an opinion locally on data centers? As elected officials, it's your duty to make decisions in our best interest. It is not your job to judge us worthy or unworthy of having an opinion. Every one of us and your constituents their opinions hold weight no matter what degree we have. I'm going to skip some of this because it was already directed, but per the contract for the Jefferson County Port Authority released on Friday, CRG is going to have 100% tax abatement for 5 years for property tax. The citizens of Festus and the local business owners, small business owners of Festus, do not get that same regard. And if the city is so short on funds, well, perhaps we should be managing our current tax dollars better. More kind of important to me, my undergraduate degree was in conservation biology.
Yes.
Your decision to raise a woodland to build an industrial monstrosity is going to have far-reaching consequences to the literal air we breathe and the water we drink. You cannot guarantee the safety of our natural resources. I did conduct a review the past couple weeks of data that was available on current studies that have been done on environmental impact studies for data centers. And what's alarming is that the data is disturbing, and all we have is short-term data. The technology is too new to even have long-term data. So, one, those environmental studies, I would have liked to see that before this contract was ever considered, and we have no basis to guarantee that this data center is not going to have hugely negative consequences down the road. I could continue, but I know we're constrained to a few minutes. But my last question is, where are our values? Most of us who choose to reside here in Jefferson County, it's because we love our small towns, our streams, our rivers, our farmlands, and our peace. If we wanted elite infrastructure and industrial zoning, we could choose to live elsewhere. That is not what we're wanting. And we're not stupid. We're not done fighting this. Thank you.
My name is Chris Gainey, 703 Huber Street, in the great city of Festus. Clayco's CRG has 57 active data center projects across the U.S. You might say that they are experts at building data centers, but actually, this right here, this event we are having right now, this is the service that Clayco's CRG provides to its customers. They are experts at getting data centers approved in communities that do not want data centers. And they are experts at shepherding in corporations that communities do not want. It's called lawfare. It's using legal means and loopholes to influence the outcome of a legal process, so that the ultimate effect is circumventing of democracy.
Yep.
How do they do it? Well, they come in through the back door.
Yeah.
And they hold secret meetings with members of the local government.
Yeah.
And they get the whole data center project rolling forward before the citizens citizens even realize that they need to hire a lawyer. In the case of Festus, it sounds like some sunshine laws were broken.
Yeah.
That's
Take it
nothing
where your
that
sunshine
CRG
is.
has to worry about. They have a team of lawyers defending them.
Yep.
Once the CRG
Usually they have.
consultants have captured the government, they coach the members and tell them what to do and what not to do in order to get the data center passed. They coach them to use secrecy, deception, and haste. Because we all know that big decisions must be made quickly. The most important thing they stress is that the citizens cannot be allowed to vote on the data center.
Yep.
And this is what has happened here. Clayco CRG has turned the entire city council against us, so that as it stands right now, nearly every citizen in Festus has been disenfranchised from this very important decision. We are not just considering the decision to build a data center with all its risks and known issues. We are also inviting a mystery corporation into the community that could be as controversial as the data center itself. People have issues with Meta's politics and the way they censor content based on politics. Google is a weapons contractor. Google's own employees have protested their company's business practices. So if we're going to invite such a corporation into our community, we should discuss it as a community, and it should not be a secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last week, after the council meeting, a reporter asked Mayor Sam Richards when CRG would disclose the company or companies that would actually use the data center. And he said, "I'd like to know that myself." Public Works Director Michael Christopher told the reporter that we are still waiting on a response from CRG as to the disclosure of the end user. So why is the City Council considering voting on the project framework when they haven't got an answer to the most important question?
Yeah.
Speculation.
Thank you.
Who's that wizard behind that curtain?
My name is Zach Murray. I live at 11780 Kingston Drive. February 26th, Mayor Richards was interviewed by KSDK. He was asked if any improvements were needed in our infrastructure to handle a data center of this size. He said absolutely not. He did comment on potential power improvements, but that's it. Friday 27th, the contract with CRG was released. Mayor Richards lied, surprise, because included in the contract were details about needing wastewater treatment improvements. Also included is drilling a well to supply water. You know, the same well that Mayor Richards promised would not be drilled. On March 23rd, Mayor Richards states in another interview that the council has been nothing but transparent. There have been no bribes. Mr. Richards, all of us know without a doubt you have not been transparent, and it has been on public record that you have been having secret meetings and conversations since August that we know of. How do you expect anyone in this room to believe that you or this council have not taken bribes because everything else has been a lie, and that's true? I appreciate Mike Cook taking the time to interview on the Patriot last week. However, I'm still curious as to why we can't have a Q&A meeting. Citizens want to ask questions and they want to receive answers instead of talking to a brick wall.
Yeah.
If you won't talk to us, we are left to presume your intentions: corruptions, greed, bribery. I, for one, want to know what the next phase of this project is and why we're just finding it out. Why are we being so secretive? Who else is going to be affected? Are you going to force myself and anybody else out of the homes that's not already being forced out. Mayor Richards and this council have constantly tried to belittle us. They call us uneducated, they call us NIMBYs, they call us wolves, vocal minority, and I'm sure many others we haven't discovered yet. This is not how you talk to the people you represent unless you're only pretending. I'd like to point out that every meeting I've attended, there has been at least 80 to 90% opposition. The other 10% are mostly people who don't live here. And you assume that the other 10% does? Riddle me that. Mr. Mayor, by your own logic, if 1,400 signatures isn't enough to speak for 14,000, then the 700 votes that put you in that chair means you don't speak for the 14,000. I'd like to also point out that a $6 billion investment is not an investment in Festus, that's an investment in themselves. I urge you to stop being dishonorable, disrespectful, and disloyal, and let us vote. Thank you.
Sherman Doyle, 6 Glen Key Court in. Yeah. So we'll make this really short and sweet, and I hope that the media is watching. I know you are, and someone in Jeff City, because we need help in Festus, Missouri. Let me tell you this. City of Festus, did you know that on March 9th at the City Council meeting, this council went into a closed session at 7:16 p.m. They came out of that session at 7:47 p.m. The meeting was officially adjourned at 9:06 p.m. Does anyone wonder what happened during those 79 minutes of open public meeting? Well, let me tell you something. I was there. I walked in at 9:01. You know who I saw? Steve! Hey, Mike, you know who I saw? I saw the consultant, Steve Etcher, in that council room, and it was locked down. Entire City Hall was locked down as though it was being treated as a special closed session. Now, what do you think they talked about with Steve Etcher for 79 minutes without the public's eyes? Oh, our CBA, right? Our Community Benefit Agreement. Was there any community that's benefiting in this agreement in that room? No. I want to know why. I also want to know why you all decided to put it on your minutes. This is you. This is you. Go back to the minutes. At 9:06, you officially adjourned. We walked in, there was Etcher. I want to know what you talked about. I want to know what was said. I want to see the notes. We all deserve this. Well, hey, it gets better though. Hold on a second, it gets way better. We went ahead and put in a sunshine law request. Hey, you want to know what we got back in that sunshine law request? No, there was a meeting. There was a meeting, all right. Here's what we got. And there were 5 things that we asked for. I'm not going to read them all because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. But I'm going to tell you what they told us. For 79 minutes of a public meeting, when we asked for what did they talk about, what are the notes, this is our response to that request. Records responsive to this request are closed pursuant to section 610.021 RSMO section 1. Confidential communications between the city's representatives and its attorney, and subsection 12 records related to negotiated contract or execution. Bullshit, mama! It is a public, open meeting. We deserve the notes. You all lied. You treated it just like a closed session. You didn't think anyone was going to stay, and we did. We did. What was talked about? Because I'm about ready to lose my house, and I do not appreciate the bully tactics of this doesn't have to be approved for that to go in behind my home, and you could lose everything. Ashford Place. If you don't comply and be the good citizens that we want you to be, we don't have to approve this, and Big Bad Wolf's gonna come in. You guys are in for a reckoning. A reckoning. We need help from Jeff City. We need help from Jeff City.
House insurance has gone up exponentially.
You have no idea what any of these people's finances look like. You haven't even talked to them. Do you understand that it's not just that they won't be able to get an equivalent home with just 10% over appraisal done by CRG's hand-picked appraisers? Some of them won't even qualify for a mortgage at all at 7%.
Those tin homes are worth a lot.
Because the interest rate is more than double. You might call it a voluntary buyout, but it's as voluntary as someone putting a gun in your mouth. Sorry, I'm asking you to hand over your wallet, Shori. If you sign this tonight with no consideration for that, with no consideration for our rapidly deregulating water protections, with no limits on CRG use, with no additional ordinances or procedures for residents, without talking to actual field experts that aren't making money off of you, then you would be fools to do so. It's not adequate, it is not ready, and this is a huge avoidable mistake. Please don't do this.
Michael and Shelley.
Michael Cayley, live on Blue Ridge Trace. That's in Festus. Thank you for providing the time for public comment. I know you didn't have to. So I really just have one question for tonight. I feel like we never actually get past this when we talk about it. The question is about the money that we're supposedly going to be getting from the hyperscale. I've been to city council meetings. It never seems like we're hurting for money. I know everyone can always use a little bit more money for whatever project they want to get done, and I'm sure Festus is the same way. But let's say the hyperscale is true to its word. All the money really does come through exactly as they promised, millions a year for years to come. If the money is the most important thing, what do you plan to do with it? I know you can't answer right now.
Put it in the bank account.
I know you can't answer right now. I know that's not how this public comment works. I know. But I genuinely would like to know what we need all this money for. Whatever it is, will we get a say in it, or will it just be out-of-towners and stakeholders again? Thank you.
All right, I got through 2 of my points last week. I'm going to get through half of them, second, and the rest of the third. Okay, I just wanted to say that Festus is not against progress, not against people making money. It's just the way you've chosen to do it is the problem. You see, Clayco and CRG et al. See all of us in Festus as rubes too uneducated and unsophisticated to know when we're getting robbed and duped into losing our homes, our health, our water, and our previous lifestyle. This council's brilliance in putting foxes in charge of the hen house has proved Clayco and CRG right. We are rubes, ripe for their picking. Before you choose to move forward, please demand that studies on environmental impact are done and before the first shovel of dirt gets moved. We stand to lose too much to allow these foxes at CRG to give Festus advice and then advise us on how to take their advice. Please be wiser and more shrewd than you have been so far. Why is the city paying for any sort of studies that may be done? CRG runs in, let CRG pay. Okay. Because every one of your acts of complicity in what I believe has been an underhanded, callous, deceitful, and downright illegal process in bringing this data center to Festus. I want you to know that I'm praying for all of you. Please remember these speeches that you will hear tonight. You will be seeing this place and these people hearing these speeches again on Judgment Day. Starting today, every heavenly hand of provision and protection will be removed from you. Remember these words the next time you stub your toe, get a paper cut, or run over a traffic cone. Remember this. When something weird happens, with no earthly explanation, remember these words. You may have friends in high places, but please let me assure you that my friends in the highest place have seen every contract you signed or may sign. They heard every joke at our expense, and they were even present for drinks and dessert. Because it wasn't y'all paying for it anyway. Yes, they were present and watching every keystroke in an email, every signature, hearing every joke, and now you'll get to see what they think of the way you've represented and handled your sacred and holy duty to the city of Festus. Or perhaps I should say, serving Festus, or ill-serving Festus. If you can stop this process, I'm begging you. But if you cannot stop it, be shrewd and buckle up, because you're going to be in for a bumpy ride.
Good evening. I live at 702 Huber Street here in the great city of Festus. Love you guys. Now, this isn't just about a hyperscale data center. This is about city officials that have shut the residents out. And a decision that looks like it was headed in one direction long before the public was ever brought in or even made aware. People keep on hearing the same line. Nothing is finalized. But let's be honest with each other. When you rezone land for specific use like this, the conversations are already happening behind the scenes. When momentum is already built, you're not starting the process, you're finishing it. And that's the problem. The people who actually live here, the real stakeholders in the situation, the ones who are going to deal with the noise, the traffic, the long-term impact, they weren't part of that process when it mattered most. We know now that there are meetings happening early on, fake stakeholder meetings, coordinated discussions, carefully limited attendance. Now think about that for a second. When it came time to talk about a project that could reshape parts of this city, the supposed once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, access was denied. It was controlled. At the same time, what did the public get? No traffic studies, no utility capacity analysis, no environmental review of any kind, nothing that answers the most basic question: what is this actually going to do to our community? So let me ask the question that a lot of residents are already asking: what exactly are we approving here? Because right now, it looks like you guys are making a massive decision without any information whatsoever. And when people raise concerns, they were told not to worry, everything's fine, there's still time, it's all under control. It's not really how it works. Don't tell us to sit down and relax. Trust is built by showing your work, which you guys have. And right now, that work just isn't there. Our concern isn't anti-growth, anti-business. This is simply pro-accountability. The exact reason why I had to file a lawsuit for the first time in my life. If this project is truly good for the city, then it should be able to stand up to scrutiny. It should be able to survive questions. It should be able to face the public early, openly, and honestly. But that didn't happen, and it still does not happen. That's why people are upset. Not because they hate the development, but because they feel like the decision is moving forward with them on the outside looking in. And once you lose that trust, you don't fix it by pushing harder like you guys have been. You fix it by stopping, by pausing, by talking to the people that voted you in and answering their questions. It's not that complicated. This isn't political. This is not a note of development, but a note of moving forward on items. Moving forward like this. It's a note of skipping steps. It's a note of asking residents to accept impacts without answers. If this project is worth doing, it should be worth doing right, with real studies and full transparency. The city doesn't belong to developers, it belongs to the residents that live here. It doesn't belong to closed-door conversation, it belongs to true city town hall meetings when voters can talk to the city officials that they elected in. And it doesn't belong to a process that people can't see or trust, it belongs to So until this is done the right way, the answer should be no. Not later, not after the damage is done, but right now, tonight. Because we can't even guarantee a fair process. We have no business approving the outcome. And that's the truth people are finally starting to see. Thank you all. Have a good night.
John Yeomans, 921 North 4th Street, Festus, Missouri. I'm a pretty common face around here at City Hall, so I don't think I need to really introduce myself, but I'm going to tell you something you might not know about me. As we speak towards the signing of the deal tonight, I feel it's my public duty as a professional historic preservationist to shed some light on the potential historic grave sites that are on the land to be developed by CRG. Missouri Revised Statute 214.132 guarantees public access to private and/or abandoned grave sites surrounded by private land. So when I was informed of this sign on Thursday, I dropped everything and I visited it. I won't mince words and I'll only speak to evidentiary truth that I have at this moment. It is my professional opinion, having viewed the site, that there are at least 5 unmarked historic graves on the property that exist on the land. We do not know who is there, what else might be there, how many there are, how old they are, or why they're interred there, but they're there. 5 graves, potentially. Each grave was in a rough row with the same orientation and were human-sized depressions nearly a foot deep, the result of a body and/or burial vessel decomposing as the grave itself collapses. 2 of them had stones placed on the same ends as marker stones, however they are eroded and broken and may never have contained writing or information in the first place. These stones are deliberately placed on their tall sides and half buried with the roughly flat face towards the grave. They're not accidents. I'm not going to provide its location as the site is currently threatened by a multi-billion-dollar investment and is subject to a police investigation by Festus PD. Still, I worry. I worry because the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office should have jurisdiction over these matters based on my understanding of the law. Moreover, Festus Police Chief Doug Wendell is one of the stakeholders identified by CRG due to his role as the president of the Festus R6 School Board, which stands to receive millions of dollars in this data center deal. I do not mean this as a personal attack or an indictment against the police chief, but I do think this is a conflict of interest. Protected until they can be preserved and verified. I and others like me are blowing a whistle on these graves because we are terrified they will be destroyed quietly to build this data center. The fastest way to try and protect the site was to make it known that this is only the beginning of a long process to identify and preserve the site and the human dignity of the people buried there. The process is being worked on by growing dedicated locals. Now, I don't mean to upset the anti-data center crowd here when I say this is not a silver bullet for this data center deal. This is a dot on the map compared to a 370-acre development, and on top of it, and because of that, because it's a very real site, it should be pretty easy to figure out how big it is, mark it, and leave it alone. Okay, what I have to say next is my personal opinion. It's not a professional one. I think that the fact that the city had no clue that this site was here is indicative of a wider problem, and that problem is that this is a bad deal for the City of Festus. You all remember my speech last time, the breakdown of the timeline, the rushing of everything, and you probably saw the lies that the city's told us on the news last night. I know the city probably did. You, council, have taken a sledgehammer to your credibility. How can anyone in this room ever trust anything you say ever again? I know you're going to answer questions at these things, so I'll go ahead and answer it. You can start by saying no tonight. Go back to negotiating the table at the very least. And if you're afraid that CRG is going to pull the plug on it because you decide to play hardball just a little bit, and that just proves that CRG was operating in bad faith from the very beginning.
Yep.
Not us. They saw a government that was full of aging, tech-illiterate pushovers. So we wanted to send it down the river.
Yeah.
This time I ask you, don't prove me right. Prove CRG wrong.
Yeah!
No, not for me, not for them, but for yourselves. Because you found yourselves at a completely untenable position. Shout out to Chris McKee and Natasha Doss for being here tonight.
Carpetbaggers. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Chris, you dumb idiot. Let's go, Mike! Who's Chris? He's the asshole over there.
Good evening. Mary Cakes, now to see your brook yet. I will not be addressing the bootlickers up here at this point. It's been proven you no longer listen to their constituents. I'll address the citizens. The citizens that came to here this evening to have nothing in there about the amount of water they need, or if it's going to be a closed loop system. You know, that one that's just supposed to use a trickle of water. The city engineer that can't figure out how to flush a toilet in Christ West City Park. For this project and validate whatever lies CRG is going to give us. Lord help us. Mark my words. That group right up there will do the first reading of Bill 4876. And then the mayor is going to entertain a motion to waive the rules and vote to approve, in name only, the second reading in 2 weeks on this bill. That is because CRG, Chris, owns them. And it said, if you don't do this tonight, we will walk away. And deposited the money. Who's running this city? The Festus leadership or CRG? Because those lines are certainly...
CRG!
So Chris, come on down and take your seat at the table with the rest of the team.
Yep.
I would ask that all of those opposed to this agreement right now with CRG to stand up right now.
Carpetbaggers! Hey, Jay. Good to see you, bud.
Hey, Chris, if you're gonna police our county, just look at us and get off the phone. Jesse Shepherd. Jesse Shepherd.
My name is Jesse Shepherd, and I'm at 1115 West Main Street, right here in
Festus, Missouri!
I'm gonna be honest, I actually didn't really prepare anything tonight because I fully expected this council to not allow me speaking. We have been steamrolled and ignored all throughout this process, and I'm quite frankly surprised that you're allowing us to speak this evening. So thank you for that, I guess. I'm just gonna speak from my heart. For one thing, I want to address CRG and Chris. I want you to know that we know, the public knows what your father has done.
Yep.
With the Northside Regeneration Project, with all of his failed projects in St. Louis City. Part of a family legacy of dragging towns through the dirt, of ruining communities. You can't help it, it's just in your blood. Now look, we have been told that this won't impact our water, it won't hog our water supply, it won't raise our electricity rates, it won't affect our health. They can tell us all of these things, but when we know nothing about the project, then we don't know if it's going to do those things. We have no way of knowing if this is going to be detrimental to our health, our lives, our peace, our families. This is so wrong that you guys are bulldozing this through without caring what all of these people have to say. And I know one thing that is apparent here is there's a lot less people here tonight than there were last week. Why do you think that defeated. We are tired of being ignored. People aren't even coming to participate in this because they have no reason to believe that you're going to listen to them anyway. So please do the right thing tonight and table this or vote no. Just do the right thing for our community. This country has a long history of rushed decisions in the name of progress that ended up being very detrimental for the people that this government should be working to benefit and protect. So I'll just leave you all with one last thing, which is the Missouri state motto: let the welfare of the people be the supreme law.
Erica Carter.
Let's go, Erica!
I'd like to start with an apology if I offended anyone last week with my emotions, got the best of me. City Clown Show. I'd like to say when I cussed at my cook last week, I said what I said. I spoke with a person that has very high standing and respect in the community, and they said, I quote, live in a way that allows you to look people in the eye without hesitation. Their voice is telling. I'd like to point out a few things in the 29-page agreement. An actual line from the agreement says, this benefit is for the city and the developer, not a third party. Guess who we are, Festus? We're the third party. Another gaping hole is that there is no labor agreement in the Festus version of the data center plan. No agreement to hire X% from Jeffco. No agreement to hire unions or even prevailing wages. Sorry, green guys, you came out for no good reason tonight. If you read the 29 pages, you'll notice the payments aren't made to the city until the first year after the operation. That's 5 years construction and the year of operation. So all this money that the city is rubbing their palms together over is 6 years away. I want to let you know I've become a different person since all this started. I never intended on doing anything in the boring world of politics. I've never spoken in public. I've lost 20 pounds from the fear of losing my home.
Try, Erica.
My health and my net worth. I can't sleep. This mama bear has been poked, and I am constantly mad. I drive through town and I get mad when I see men digging on the side of the road or drive over survey strips. I get mad when I see utility flags. And as of Monday, when Sam lied to the media and said there were no closed door meetings, I'm now pissed off at doors. When will this madness end? Now, I am involved and I say we have record-breaking municipal election on April 7th. Everyone, get out and sign the spots outside on the recall sheets. We need to do a courtesy flush and start fresh.
Yeah!
I would like to encourage everyone to support small businesses that are anti-data center. Bridges Produce, up and down Main Street, take heed of the opposite. Please consider Mineral Area College, St. John County Hospital, and if Stockholm's own the new ZX gas station, remember who sold you out. I will not set foot in the Olive Garden, and I vow to boycott any sellout where I can. Please support the community, the small businesses, because we will be the backbone in the community. We will rebuild this mess, and we are the stakeholders. Stand up. All of you stand up. Michelle, step forward. I had a phone call with the mayor today and reminded him the buyout is null and void. The homeowners of Ashford Place were not even contacted. Chris McKee, look at these people. They were notified in Facebook that their homes will be bought. When I told the mayor this, that the lawyer, or asked the mayor, he said that the lawyers decided this 1,000-foot buyout was sufficient. I told him I have a family, and he said, you already told me that 5 meetings in a row. Well, I still have a family, and my property line is 1,000 feet away. My home and my family matter. And it's not screw you, Carter family. We matter.
My name is Charles Holmes. I live at 104 Doctor Drive in Festus, Missouri. Ronald Reagan said the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help. That's never been more true than right now. Let me be clear. I'm not anti-development, but against bad city planning. A data center is wrong for Festus. Back in November, my daughter was born. My wife and I were in the hospital, and I heard about all these people and this data center coming to Festus. I was scared, I guess. So I started emailing. Greg Camp and the rest of city administration never answered my concern about a data center cooling system with chillers, potentially propagating Legionnaire's disease. Yep. It's my understanding there will be far more chillers and vapor exhaust coming from the site that originally saw it. In 1976, the first documented cluster case of Legionnaire's disease occurred from a hotel in Philadelphia housing a conference for the Legion. Of 182 cases there, 29 persons died. Will the city commit to testing weekly to prevent nearby residents from a biohazard? I went to West City Park week before last to find exposed wiring coming from a junction box near the baseball fields and playground. The wire was live using my electrical tester, 120 volts. How can we trust the city to keep a data center in check when they don't protect our most vulnerable? To make it worse, the install wasn't even up to code. Added to the list, I've seen street lighting by my house rise and fall. A couple of years ago, it seemed contractors were hitting utilities every other week. Our Main Street sidewalk is terribly unlevel in spots. To CRG, if you buy people out, be prepared for cracked foundations in your homes next to big construction. It happened at my Jim Tin built home when they built an apartment in 2022. Careless zoning is turning us into a Frankenstein of a city. The line I once read from Mike Cook last summer on a separate issue is, well, we don't often hear from residents until it's late in the process. Really? You've heard from these people as long as you have had these meetings public and not closed. I tried to find that comment. All I found was Mike's wife saying, quote, several that and complain do not even live in the city limits of Festus, so they don't actually have a say. What's that about, Mike? This council's lack of transparency and willingness to take a sweetheart deal has revealed to us you all are sitting on the company side, not these residents.
Yep. Carpetbaggers.
Now, I won't say you all are bad people.
I will.
That I do not know. What I do know is you've been feeding too long at the public trough.
Go, Brian.
Brian Bosworth, 1619 Dunaway Road, Festus. It's not too late to do the right thing.
Yeah.
You missed all the off-ramps, but we're coming up on the last one. I don't see it saving any political careers at this point. I could be wrong, but even if I'm not, that's not the worst thing in the world. Tim Montgomery lost an election under very different circumstances, but everyone loves that guy. Shit, everyone's saying right now, please Tim, come back! Jimmy Carter lost an election because he sucked at being a president. But again, everyone loves Jimmy Carter. Great farmer, great person. Shitty at being a president, that's fine. In Genesis 25:29 to 25:34, Esau sells his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of lentil soup. I feel like legacies and reputations that a couple of you guys have built up here that should have endured for generations are similarly about to be poured out for what to CRG amounts to a bowl of bean soup.
Yep.
At the very least, I hope those soup bowls are many times more lucrative than what was given to Great Camp, because if it really was steak and BJ's with Paul McKee's pretty ass hit up in Altoona like I said it was, then shit!
Yep.
I ask you this, you really need to be honest with yourselves right now. Where do you honestly think the trajectory of public sentiment is going for this? Do you believe it to be more favorable or less favorable than when we first heard about it in October? Given that trajectory, do you believe it will be more or less favorable 2 weeks from now, a month from now, a year from now? If Jacob hasn't offered you a shitty bowl of soup, why are you doing this? Not! I'll talk to you guys for a minute. This is pretty fun, ain't it? Turns out, this civic engagement shit is a pretty good time. So, there's going to be an election in a couple weeks. You think that through that time and beyond that maybe we can keep up some of this big dick energy?
Yeah, we can!
Keep on coming out, everybody.
Yeah, Brian!
My name is Fallon Cornett. I'm 17 years old, and for my entire life, 18 Glenkey Court has been my home. A fun fact about me is that by the time I graduate high school later this spring, I'll have been an actor for 4 years. However, there's one thing that they don't tell you about theater, and it's that the best actors aren't the ones in high school plays or even high-end performances. They're the ones in office. Now, since you've all proven to be such amazing actors, I've come up with a fun little activity for us to do together. I know, none of you are actually going to participate because you clearly don't care about what any of us have to say. Not if you're even hearing me right now. That's what I thought. Yep. But for the sake of my speech, I'm gonna pretend that you are. Now, I want you to close your eyes and pretend that you're a kid again. You live on a relatively quiet, unassuming street, and every day after school, the first thing on your mind is how fast you can get outside to chase your friends around the cul-de-sac or into the woods behind your house. Now that the weather's getting warmer, you've been dying to go to the beach, or the lake, or the pool in your friend's backyard. As summer rapidly approaches and the school year starts drawing to a close, you feel yourself begin to settle into a nice, long summer break. But this year, something's changed. Instead of making beach plans, your parents have been discussing whether or not they'll have enough money to move somewhere that won't be affected by the hyperscale data center that they say is going to be built a few thousand feet away, more or less, from your house. There won't be any more playing in the woods, they tell you, and if they decide to move, then you'll have to leave all your friends behind. You don't fully understand what a data center is and how it affects you, but by the hushed tones that your parents speak about it with, you know it's serious. Suddenly, life isn't so simple anymore. Now, open your eyes. Was that fun? Well, to us, that was just a game. It's the reality that many children, not only at Glenkey Court, but all across the nation, are forced to confront. The ability to ruin childhood should not live in the hands of the elite. It should be with us, the people, the one whose livelihoods are at stake. And if you actually care about securing futures for the children in Festus, then open your eyes to the wants of your people and listen to what's been screamed at you over and over and over. There's one thing that we can't take away, our spirit. Sam Richards, do better. Thank you.
And bullying by the lack even make me repeat the Olive Garden joke. The list goes on, and it makes me sick. Sick, I say. You should be ashamed of yourself. And the lies about this CRG contract and the potential windfall from the city, have you even read it? And do you understand it? Or are you just following CRG like little puppies with their tongues hanging out while you chase that shiny lie? People could lose their homes, their health. Stop bullying and vote no on this damn data center. You will have to fight harder and start by voting you all out. Exactly. Vote them out. I still got a minute.
Judy and Ivory.
Go, Judy!
Hello, fellow residents. My name is Judy Ivory. I live in Northwood subdivision in
Missouri!
Thanks for giving me my First Amendment right to speak, even though you don't listen. At least you're mostly looking at us this week after last week's scolding by a teenager. This is really not for you. It's for the people who've just woken up to this dirty deal that you're bulldozing through our town. I'm here today to talk about the way we do business, which is our business. On August 8th, City Administrator, now gone, Greg Camp sent an email to the council and in a section marked confidential informed them Festus has been in talks with CRG. When did these talks begin? I really doubt that it happened the day before. Seems like there's more information being withheld. Maybe we'll have to try to find out that information. September 4th, Greg Camp sets up a stakeholder meeting that includes city officials, county officials, Jefferson College, Festus School District, but surprise, no homeowners, no residents. We are not at the table in your eyes. We never have been. And Greg Camp says we have to limit how many council members can attend at the same time. He wrote that in an email.
Good job, Greg.
September 8th, thanks Greg. September 8th, CRG responds that they have meetings scheduled in groups of 3. Wonder why, exactly. September 18th, Greg Camp shares Faith Church and Ashford Place HOA contacts with CRG, asking them for input about how to handle them, how to handle us. September 19th, more meetings with the stakeholders, which still does not include any residents. This is not how I want my city to do business.
Yep.
September 19th, Councilwoman Stacey Templeton expresses strong concerns, but there's been no transparency on the city's part. She's right about that, wherever she is. But there's no change to the city's approach. And then, after an inquiry from a resident, Greg Camp says, and I love this line, the cat's out of the bag. Say it with me. Why are there cats? About the Olive Garden. It'll be like data center
I want my city to do business. Dirty. Greg Kemp says about resident, he's meeting with the mayor on Monday, and he already hit us up for our sunshine law request. Personally, I think he's jockeying for business on the incentive side of things, then accused him of twisting the numbers even more. November 17th, residents of Ashford Place write to the city council with concerns. A couple days later, Stacy Templeton wants to pump the brakes again. Greg Camp responds that people are spreading bad information.
No, we weren't.
She actually said that there was no information being spread. Why don't you give us any good information? Because there isn't any? On November 26th, the text messages referring to the sideshow of uneducated people and calming the masses. This is not how I want my city to do business. All through these communications with CRG, contact with the residents' concerns are treated unprofessionally with disdain, ridicule, personal attacks, lack of response, lack of information, and disrespect, while communications with CRG are professional, prompt, accommodating, and cordial. What a difference. This is not how I want my city to do business. May I remind you that in 2019, a former city council member filed a complaint with the state of Missouri. The Missouri Attorney General's office sent a letter to the city council urging the council to take at least one sunshine law training class offered by the Attorney General's office in the next 6 months. Have any of you taken that training? Not how I want my city to do business.
Let her talk!
Why are we giving so much away?
Let her talk!
Most communities
Let her talk!
City of Data Center.
Let her talk! Let her talk! You're robbing us! Bullshit! Give her my 5 minutes! Good job, today! Woo! John Hicks!
Yeah,
Good evening, beautiful people of Festus. I'm going to point out a couple things about this agreement. First thing is, there's some terms in the legal system that I recently learned. Notwithstanding anything herein to the contrary, or notwithstanding the foregoing, okay? I learned those terms are what's called legal words in legal terminology. I actually had a good friend of mine now go through this electronically. The weasel words are used 19 times. 29-page document, 19 times weasel words. That's 2/3 of the document. There's a page roughly where the weasel words are on. Find that kind of interesting. Something else I wanted to talk about was the section where it talks about wells and water. Okay, developers shall design, construct, install, and fund a at developer's sole cost and expense all water and sewer improvements, utility extensions, blah blah blah. Okay. How come in the last water meeting there's a report in there from the Missouri Department of Natural Resources that says the inspector talked with the guy that runs the plant and he said, well, for this data center, we got to increase capacity, and there's engineering going on right now to discuss and analyze increasing the capacity of the water plant. Well, who's paying for this engineering that's happening right now? Right? There's no agreement yet. Is CRG paying for something with no agreement? Why is that happening? The next section about wells talks about, well, they're not going to make any private wells, but, you know, they could drill
public wells on the site. What is that made of? There's not one definition in this contract. Who wrote this thing? Who writes a contract without clear definitions? Of
Crooks! And they use AI to litigate.
It's just leaving vague terms in there. I mean, how would you even enforce something like that? It's very peculiar.
Orchards.
Something else I wanted to talk about. We want to know when the mayor is going to take action on ordinance 405.555, the planning and zoning complaint forms.
Yep.
That's the city ordinance, and you're all responsible for following those just like everybody else. You're not above the ordinances. All right? Next thing I want to talk about is I went through the dates, and from the date the ordinance that the negotiator was signed and he was hired until today, it's roughly 1 month for what's being called a $6 billion contract. When in the history of the world has a contract that size been negotiated within 30 days?
Yep.
That's just completely unrealistic. And in fact, it's just absolutely disgusting. You want me to get too much? Another thing I wanted to bring up is everybody should look up what modular construction is. It's a trend going on in the industry where they build everything off-site with non-union labor and they screw the unions over. Look into that. That's not a good thing. Running out of time, I want everybody to know across the U.S., this was going to go in St. Charles where they have deep pockets, and they got kicked out of there, and now they're hitting this small town with blue-collar, hard-working people and senior citizens. Go to wakeupjeffco.org. If anybody out there that hears this can help these people out, because they really could use some help. Romans 12:21. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good.
Hello, my name is Matthew Ransbottom. I'm a proud member of Festus, Missouri, who live at 817 Jefferson Avenue. I would like to start basically by saying that I hope that everything is able to be heard on the public forum tonight, and also possibly whatever's been going on with what seemed to be a very apparent shady deal. From a little bit that I've had the race to learn more about the situation, really seems a little bit dirty. The digital economy is racing ahead, but the climate impacts are just data on a page. They show up as real risk for pollinators, for agriculture, and for the systems that we all depend on. By 2035, data centers will pump billions of tons of CO2 into the atmosphere, nudging global temperatures just enough to push vulnerable species past their survival limits. A death caused by 1,000 cuts is preventable, even when corporate greed and uneducated decisions push agendas and challenge the lives that support our existence. It would be easier to not stand up here and to try to educate you of the dangers of the hyperscale data centers pose to the surrounding environment. Challenges have been fought and faced with opposition to lessen the impact that these centers cause on a very fragile ecosystem. As a beekeeper who keeps over hundreds of hives, we have a pulse on the environment every day. We love being in our hives, and when we experience the first show of pollens, the first nectar sources opening, and the season is changing. As we sit in front of the center stage of Mother Nature's amphitheater, how dare any of you take so little consideration to to not only my family's welfare and how we provide a living to support our family, but our aviary's existence to help support our local ecosystem. How dare you?
Woo! Yeah.
The facts are simple. The proposed data centers will not be a benefit, as most will identify, as even minor disruptions to our air, water, and temperatures have major implications. Our fragile ecosystem does not have a voice to speak here, so here I am. There are educated, concerned citizens, like everyone here speaking, gets to voice their concerns. 3 different beekeeping associations from across the state asked me to speak loudly and confidently about the destructive levels of noise, air, and pollution generated by these sloppy business ventures, and is no way trying to weave a positive fabric into this society's blanket. As a multi-billion-dollar deal is discussed here, how and why are the impacts on the environment not being discussed?
Yeah.
Are we that complacent to not see the writing on the wall? I hope you're uncomfortable. I hope you are, Timmy. It would be a square wheel design to allow such ignorance in our community as promise change for the better and how our area is better for housing such a center. I challenge anyone sitting on the board to give me a straight answer on how this will affect the migratory birds, the native insects, the animals, the mammals of our location.
Yeah.
The region in which we find a single positive outcome other than the monetary incentive being brought by this data center. If you ask me, the monetary is not even a valid gain unless that money is to stop homelessness and hunger that our families struggle throughout this entire region. This offer increases are not attractive. They are underwhelming in a lot of ways. From the surface, they're very sloppy, very vulnerable. They're vulnerable to the voices speaking here this evening. They're vulnerable to the deal not passing due to the variety of dirty deals exposing a soft underbelly. Shame on you, Timmy. Shame on you, the chairs. All of you on the board are ignoring the concerns of push agendas. We are talking about the life and effects of the very people that make this city a possibility and the continued success and chance for life of so many voices unable to speak here.
Yeah. Woo. There we go.
Hello, my name is Alicia Vasquez, and I'm a proud resident of Festus. We purchased our home at 817 Jefferson Avenue 11 years ago. Sorry. We moved here for affordability and the Blue Ribbon Elementary School for our children. I've grown to love this town and this community, and many of you know me.
Look at her, cowards!
I promote this community to others all the time for its historic small business district, the parks, the amazing events. It's truly wonderful. 100% small town USA. I tell people all the time I live in a Hallmark community, a Hallmark movie, but this doesn't feel like a Hallmark movie anymore. Maybe if there's a good ending. What's not wonderful is the lack of respect from our paid and elected officials. The exposed text messages calling our concerns redundant, uneducated, and referring to us as a herd of sheep
is utterly disgraceful. The residents of Festus deserve better. We put our trust in the cities of Festus's paid staff and elected officials to provide safe and healthy decisions for our families. Instead, we are belittled, let down, and sold out. Trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. For 18 years, I have been working with RE/MAX Best Choice right here in Festus. I help families with the largest transactions and the biggest decisions of their lives when buying and selling homes. This process often starts years before we actually move on the plans. Many factors go into a move: financing, savings, credit scores, schools, home values, to name a few. The complete lack of concern for the immediate residential neighborhoods is discerning. Being proud of CRG offering 12 residents an optional buyout with home values from nearly 12 months ago, no consideration for moving expenses, and the higher interest rates today is disheartening. If a 1,000-foot buffer zone was enough, CRG would not be offering a buyout.
Yep.
What will happen to those homes that choose the buyout? Will they be sold below market value? Will they be boarded up? Will they be demolished? What happens to the homeowners who choose to stay? Stay with neighbors like this? And what about the effect to the remaining homes in that subdivision? These residents deserve better negotiating.
It's coming! It's coming!
For paying your taxes, they've paid you to hire an attorney, an expert negotiator. Why aren't they involved in the negotiations before an agreement is reached? There are currently 2 homes under contract in Ashford Place, and when sold, they will give an appraisal of 10% gain from last June's value. That means 10% over last June's value is not enough.
No!
Shame on you, City of Festus, for selling us out.
Woo! Good job. Let's go, Vaughn.
I'm Vaughn Hogan. I am from Savannah Place and here in Festus. I want to have you listen to this. Okay, it might not be loud enough. I actually went out to the Bitcoin mining facility in Hematite because I had someone messaging me complaining about the sound. She lives probably about half a mile away from the location, and there is a awful buzzing sound that is super obnoxious. I have an audio processing disorder, and something like that would drive me absolutely up the wall. So no consideration for something like that. And this is something that's only on 10 acres versus 400. So I do worry about believing that this isn't going to make any sound that's going to draw the residents to want to leave the area. I know that 1,400 signatures was kind of mocked, that it wasn't a lot. There was a lot of hard work put in by Erica, Julie, Cheryl Haverty, a lot. Put in a lot of work in that. 30 days, a handful of them walked around grabbing signatures between their family lives, their jobs, 30 days. And we collected 1,400 signatures. We could have done a lot more. I'll say in about the 100 that I collected, there was 4 people that told me no. That is it. Many of the union members saying the same thing before they signed, how they were threatened that they better be for this data center, and they all said the same thing. This is our home, not theirs.
Yep.
I personally don't know a single person that's for this data center. I know that there are people that are for it, but I don't personally know one person that is. I do worry about any of the dangers that there could be because we don't have testing. My daughter was born prematurely. She was in the NICU. She had PICA. We had a high-level testing come back. And so we're supposed to just trust you on this when Doe Run has already come through here and poisoned the land around us. I already have to worry about my child because she like to eat dirt. And so now I have an issue where, you know, she's having issue with lead levels because of that. I don't trust it. I want studies. I want research. I'm sorry I didn't study. I had a funeral today, so I kind of just did this last minute. I know that I saw that there was an agreement for the union members, which is super upsetting for me. I come from a union household, but is that why none of the union members showed up tonight? I see you guys over here. Come on. Are they giving you the work? Yes. We don't know anymore? Why aren't you in the contract?
Oh.
Because that's bullshit.
Boom.
That work deserves to go to you. I am a full-blown union supporter. My husband is union, and if that work did not go to you, we'll see what happens. Because I think strikes will be even higher for unions than they already are right now, which is like almost 300%. Let me ask this. Why is Derek Good influencing the decisions in Festus? We're coming for the Port Authority. We're looking it up. We're
coming.
This is something that will follow through your names for generations and not in a positive way. When people hear your name, your children's name, it will not be positive. We will think back, yeah, I know that person, and this is what they did to our town. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Matt Drennan. I'm a resident in the Alexander Heights subdivision in Festus. I spent a lot of time on Friday going through this agreement and sent comments to all of you. There was really only one person that responded to me, and it was Mike Cook. Thank you for doing so. I still wanted to meet, couldn't meet with you. No one else did. And that's been my experience through this whole process.
Yep.
No one's ever responded to my questions. I've countless of times wanted to meet with you all. Nobody wanted to meet with me. In going to this agreement, I've never seen such a poorly written agreement on behalf of the city.
Amen.
I've been doing this for a long time, almost 20 years in development, economic development. This isn't a small project. This is a multi-billion-dollar development. And yet look at how this is being handled. Other cities, bigger than ours and with more resources, are stepping back from projects like this. They're pausing them, studying them, and rejecting them altogether. Here we're moving forward. And we're doing it with no real community benefits for the city of Festus.
Nope.
Why are we the easy yes? That's what I keep asking. We're the dumb money. 11 buyouts is not a community benefits agreement.
Nope.
There's a limited concession based on proximity to benefit the developer. It doesn't protect the broader community, and it doesn't share the upside of a project this scale. Then there's the tax revenue being used to justify this project. That's based on a hypothetical project and a hypothetical end user. There's been no independent validation of those numbers because there is no plan or diligence to substantiate these projections.
Yep.
If this deal is as strong as it's being presented, then require CRG to guarantee the tax revenue in the agreement. Guarantee it. I doubt they'll do so. Otherwise, we're making decisions based on projections that may never materialize. There's still no meaningful setbacks in the agreement. Where's the 1,000-foot setback of homes, Mayor, that you promised and said publicly to the community? There's not even setbacks from property lines in the agreement. Don't see it. For a project like this, that's one of the most basic protections, and it's not there. Water is another major issue. The community was told there would be no use of well water. But this agreement allows public wells to be constructed to serve the project. That's not a restriction, it's a workaround.
Liar.
And from what I've seen to date, there's no water caps, no daily limit, no annual limit, nothing in the agreement that actually protects the community's water supply. You're being asked to approve this without knowing how much water will it be, without any enforceable limits on that use. There's no decommissioning plan when this thing lives its useful life. Nothing that requires the site to be cleaned up when the project is done. And the agreement locks in today's rules. The problem comes up later. The city's ability to respond is limited when there are problems. There's also lack of control of who CRG assigns this data center to with transfer rights. It could be anyone, and the city has no control, no say. And you're voting on this tonight. There are still major gaps, and the agreement is not fully built out. There's no reason this has to happen today.
None.
CRG did not utilize local counsel of Thurman Law for this negotiation, but brought outside counsel, Holsonelli, that specializes in these types of negotiations.
AI
The city
driven.
did not. We used our city council with no special counsel that specializes in this work. You're negotiating a deal of this size without the same level of expertise as the party on the other side, and it shows in the agreement. Don't approve this tonight. Pause it if need be. Take the time to get it right. Bring in the right expertise. Close the gaps that are still there. When this project first came up, I asked to meet with the mayor. We met in October. The city administrator, Greg Gibb, also joined us. The mayor didn't say anything until I raised concerns about rushing this process without due diligence and said that doing so puts the city and its residents at risk. The mayor became angry at me and shouted at me, "I have never put the city at risk." Mayor, you can no longer say that as of tonight if the vote is yes. Everything changes because you are putting the city at risk. This agreement leaves too many things undefined, too many protections left out, and too much risk on the people who live there. This is a long-term decision, and once it's approved, you don't get the leverage back. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. No, you can sit on some food. Yeah, I don't need cheese on my That's a fried steak. That's a fried steak.
City Council, I have an amendment that I would like to have Brian Malone read on the buyout clause.
Yeah, let's do that. Bunch of frauds, crooks. Fuck you, You guys gonna burn in hell.
Motion is that I move that we amend Bill 4876 by amending the agreement included as Exhibit A, Article 1, G3, in the second sentence to strike 12 months and insert in lieu thereof 36 months.
That's it? Fuck me off, why don't you? Bunch of buy them all out. Burn in hell.
Roll call vote.
vote for that amendment.
You better vote no. You better vote